4 gunshots shattered the night, and Amara Thompson's world exploded into pain. The bullets tore through her shoulders, her spine, her ribs, 4 separate points of white-hot agony that sent her crashing against the cold metal of the SUV. Blood bloomed across her threadbare jacket, warm and wet, spreading fast. Her knees buckled, but she forced herself to stay upright, her body a shield between the gunman and the terrified child inside the car. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard screaming, a boy's voice, high and desperate, Korean words she didn't fully understand, but the terror was universal. Her vision blurred, the neon-lit Seoul docks swimming before her eyes. She'd been invisible for 9 months, living in an abandoned shipping container by these same docks, trying to disappear from a life that had destroyed her. Tonight, instinct had made her visible again. Tonight, instinct might kill her. The gunfire stopped. Footsteps, running, then silence, broken only by her ragged breathing and the boys sobbing. Amara's fingers scrabbled against the car door, leaving bloody smears on the pristine black paint. Every breath felt like drowning. Her paramedic training kicked in through the haze of shock. She was bleeding out, maybe 3 minutes before unconsciousness, 5 before her heart stopped pumping. The car door flew open. A man emerged, tall and elegant even in the chaos, his expensive suit somehow untouched by the violence. His face was sharp, beautiful in that dangerous way that made people look twice, with eyes that had seen too much death to be surprised by more. But he looked surprised now, staring at her like she was a ghost. Check. The boy. First. Amara gasped in broken Korean, the words tasting like copper. She tried to gesture toward the car, but her arms wouldn't obey. Please, just check him. The man's eyes widened. He barked orders in rapid Korean to the guards surrounding them, then turned back to her. His hand caught her as she started to fall, lowering her carefully to the ground. The asphalt was cold against her cheek, littered with shell casings that glittered like fallen stars. Who are you? He demanded, switching to English, his accent crisp and educated. Why would you do this? Amara couldn't answer. The darkness was pulling at her, seductive and final. She'd come to Seoul to fade away quietly, to become nothing after losing everything. But dying like this, saving a child she didn't know, felt right, in a way nothing had felt right in 2 years. Stay with me, the man commanded, his voice cutting through the fog. You don't get to die, not after this. Do you understand? You saved my son. You don't get to die. His son. The words barely registered, before consciousness slipped away entirely, leaving only the ghost of his voice echoing in the darkness. Welcome to Afro-Korean Story Hub. Hey everyone, please tell us where you're watching from in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support makes all the difference for us to keep creating these emotional stories. Amara woke to the sound of machines beeping and voices arguing in Korean. Her body felt distant, wrapped in cotton and clouds. The pain reduced to a dull throb that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. She tried to move and couldn't, tried to speak and managed only a weak groan. She's awake, someone said in English. A woman's voice, clinical and calm. Vitals are stabilizing. Footsteps approached. Amara forced her eyes open, blinking against fluorescent lights that seemed impossibly bright. The room swam into focus, pristine white walls, medical equipment that looked expensive enough to buy a house, floor-to-ceiling windows showing a view of the Han River glittering in the morning sun. This wasn't a hospital. Hospitals didn't look like luxury hotel suites. Miss Thompson. The man from last night materialized beside her bed, still wearing that immaculate suit, though his tie was loosened and exhaustion shadowed his eyes. Up close, he was even more striking, sharp cheekbones, perfectly styled black hair with just a touch of silver at the temples, and those eyes that seemed to see straight through her. I'm Kang Min-jae. You saved my son's life. Amara's throat was too dry to speak. A nurse appeared, offering ice chips, helping her swallow. The simple act of accepting help made tears sting her eyes. It had been so long since anyone had cared whether she lived or died. Where? She managed. A private clinic in Cheongdam-dong. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Dr. Yoon operated for 7 hours. You had 4 bullets lodged in your body, 2 in your shoulders, 1 that grazed your spine, 1 that cracked a rib. You should be paralyzed or dead. Apparently, you're too stubborn for either. 3 days. Amara closed her eyes, processing. 3 days since she'd thrown herself in front of a stranger's car. 3 days since she'd done something that mattered for the first time since Marcus died. "The boy?" she whispered. Min-jae's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Jiho, my son. He's fine, thanks to you. He hasn't left this hallway since we brought you here. He's 8 years old and he understands that you're the reason he's still breathing." I didn't think. I just saw the laser sight on his face and I moved. Min-jae pulled a chair close to her bed, sitting with the fluid grace of a predator at rest. "That's what makes it remarkable. Everyone in my world calculates risk versus reward, cost versus benefit. You calculated nothing. You just moved." "Who are you?" Amara asked, though she was starting to suspect. The private clinic, the guards she could see through the doorway, the way everyone deferred to this man. She wasn't stupid. 9 months on Seoul streets had taught her to recognize power when she saw it. "I run a business empire," Min-jae said, carefully. "One that comes with enemies. Last night, the Song family tried to kill my son to weaken me. They failed because a homeless American woman threw herself into their line of fire." He leaned forward, his gaze intense. "Why were you at the docks?" "I lived there, in a shipping container near Pier 7. The words came easier now, though shame colored them. "I've been in Seoul for 9 months, trying to disappear." "You did a poor job of it." Despite everything, Amara almost laughed. "Yeah, apparently. Dr. Yoon found scars during surgery, old ones, burns, cuts, trauma that predates last night by years, and this." Min-jae held up a laminated card, worn at the edges. Her expired EMT certification, the photo showing a younger version of herself with bright eyes and hope still intact. "You were a paramedic." Amara turned her face away, tears sliding down her temples. "Was. Past tense. I haven't been that person in 2 years." "What happened?" "Does it matter?" "It matters to me. You saved my son. I don't like owing debts I don't understand." The machines beeped their steady rhythm. Outside, Seoul hummed with life, cars and voices and the relentless forward motion of a city that never stopped. Amara had thought she could hide in that motion, become just another invisible soul drowning in the current. But invisibility was gone now, shattered by 4 bullets and 1 instinctive choice. "His name was Marcus," she said quietly. "We were partners, EMT partners, and more than that. We were going to open a free clinic in Seattle, help people who couldn't afford care. We had plans, dreams, all the stupid things people have before reality kicks them in the teeth." Min-jae said nothing, just waited with the patience of someone accustomed to extracting information. "We got a call. Multi-car accident on I-5, 3 victims critical. Marcus was driving. I was running vitals on a patient in the back. A truck ran a red light." Her voice cracked. "Marcus died on impact. The patient I was trying to save died before we reached the hospital. And I walked away with some bruises and a head injury that gave me nightmares for months. I'm sorry." "The hospital blamed me, said my injuries impaired my judgment, that I should have saved the patient. They revoked my certification. My family said I was being dramatic, that I needed to move on, get over it. As if you can just get over watching someone you love die while you're helpless to stop it." She met his eyes, defiant despite the tears. "So I left, sold everything, bought a ticket to the farthest place I could think of, and tried to become nobody. I came to Seoul because nobody here knew who I used to be. Until last night." "Until last night," she agreed, "when muscle memory kicked in, and I saw a kid about to die, and I just moved." Min-jae stood, walking to the window. His reflection in the glass was pensive, troubled. "I've built my entire life on calculated decisions, measured risks, control. The idea that someone would sacrifice themselves for a stranger, for my son, expecting nothing in return, it contradicts everything I believe about human nature." "Maybe you've been around the wrong humans." He turned, and something in his expression had shifted. "Maybe I have. My son wants to meet you. He's been drawing pictures of you, calling you his guardian angel. He's forbidden anyone to remove the flowers he brought for your room." For the first time, Amara noticed them, A child's awkward arrangement of wildflowers in a plastic cup on the bedside table, the stems cut unevenly, some petals already wilting. The sight broke something in her chest. "I'd like to meet him too," she whispered. Min-jae nodded. "Rest first. Dr. Yoon will want to examine you again." "And Miss Thompson?" He paused at the door. "You're under my protection now. The Song family knows you saved Ji-ho. That makes you either a liability or leverage. Either way, you can't go back to the docks. You're in my world now, whether you chose it or not." He left before she could protest, leaving Amara alone with the beeping machines, the wilting flowers, and the terrifying realization that her invisible life had just ended. The next morning, Ji-ho came to visit. He was small for 8, with his father's sharp features, softened by youth and enormous dark eyes that held too much understanding for a child. He stood in the doorway clutching a piece of paper, his expensive school uniform pressed and perfect except for grass stains on the knees. "You can come in," Amara said gently, switching to the simple Korean she'd learned on the streets. "I don't bite." Ji-ho approached slowly, as if she might vanish if he moved too fast. When he reached the bedside, he held out the paper with both hands, formal as a courtier presenting tribute. The drawing showed a woman with dark skin and wild hair throwing herself in front of a car, stick figures with guns in the background, and a small boy safe inside. Across the top, in careful English letters, "My hero." "It's beautiful," Amara said, her voice thick. "Thank you, Ji-ho." "You're really okay?" he asked in English, his accent adorable. "Appa said you were hurt very bad. He said you might not wake up." "I'm okay. It takes more than a few bullets to stop me." "Why did you do it?" The question was simple, but the weight behind it was enormous. "You didn't know me. You didn't know Appa. Why did you save me?" Amara struggled to sit up, wincing as her wounds protested. "Come here. Sit with me." She patted the bed beside her. Ji-ho climbed up carefully, settling against the pillows like a small bird. "I saved you because you're a person, and people matter. It doesn't matter if I knew you or not. You were in danger, and I could help, so I did." "But you got hurt." "Yes, but you're alive. That's what matters." Ji-ho was quiet for a long moment, his small hand finding hers. His fingers were warm, soft, unmarked by violence or hardship, a child's hand. "Everyone here does things because they want something from Appa, or because they're scared of him. You're the first person who did something just because you cared." The simple truth of it hit Amara like a physical blow. This child, raised in a world of transactions and fear, had been given something he'd never experienced before: unconditional protection. No wonder he looked at her like she'd hung the moon. "Your father seems like a good man," Amara offered carefully. "He is. He loves me very much. But his world is complicated." Ji-ho's voice dropped to a whisper. "People die sometimes. I'm not supposed to know, but I do. That's why we have so many guards. That's why Iyama, my mother, left. She couldn't live with being scared all the time." "That must be hard for you." "It's just how things are. But you—" Ji-ho looked up at her, eyes shining. "You weren't scared. Or maybe you were, but you did it anyway. That's the bravest thing I've ever seen." Before Amara could respond, Min-jae appeared in the doorway. "Ji-ho, you're supposed to be at school." "I wanted to see her first, Appa. I wanted to make sure she was really real." Min-jae's expression softened. "She's real. Now go. Your driver's waiting." Ji-ho hugged Amara carefully, mindful of her injuries, then scampered off. The room felt emptier without him. "He doesn't usually warm to people that quickly," Min-jae said, taking the chair beside her bed. "You've made an impression. He's a good kid. You should be proud." "I am, and terrified. Keeping him safe in my world is—" He trailed off, jaw tightening. "The Song family won't stop. They failed once, but they'll try again. And now they know about you." Amara's stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means you're a target. Either they'll try to kill you to eliminate a witness, or they'll try to use you against me. Either way, you can't leave here. I have people watching your old container. Someone set it on fire last night. If you'd been there, I'd be dead." Amara closed her eyes, reality crashing down. "I just wanted to disappear. I just wanted to be nobody." You can't be nobody anymore. That woman died when you jumped in front of those bullets. Now you have to decide who you become next. The decision was taken out of her hands 2 days later when the clinic came under attack. Amara was attempting her first walk down the hallway, Dr. Yoon supporting one arm, a nurse the other. Her legs felt like water after days in bed, and the pain in her shoulders and spine was a constant burn. But she needed to move, needed to prove to herself that she could. The first explosion shattered windows at the far end of the building. "Get down!" Dr. Yoon screamed, throwing Amara against the wall as gunfire erupted. The nurse went down, blood blooming across her white uniform. Amara's training snapped her into focus despite the pain and fear. "Pressure on the wound!" she commanded, dropping beside the nurse, her hands moving automatically to staunch the bleeding. "Dr. Yoon, I need gauze now!" More explosions, screaming, the staccato rhythm of automatic weapons. Through the chaos, Min-jae's voice rose, cold and commanding, shouting orders in Korean. His guards returned fire, the hallway becoming a war zone. Amara worked on the nurse, her hands steady, despite bullets chewing through the walls around them. This she knew. This she could do. The nurse's eyes were wide with shock, her lips moving in silent prayer. "Stay with me," Amara said firmly. "Look at me. Focus on my voice. You're going to be fine." Min-jae appeared, gun in hand, blood on his face from a cut above his eye. "We need to move. Song family hit squad. They're after Jiho." "Where is he?" "Safe room, but they're trying to breach it." "Can you walk?" "Can I walk? I'm trying to save someone's life here." "Dr. Yoon will take over. We need you mobile." It went against every instinct, but Amara let Dr. Yoon take her place. Min-jae hauled her to her feet, supporting her weight as they moved through smoke-filled corridors. His guards surrounded them, weapons raised, moving with military precision. They reached the safe room, a reinforced door with a biometric lock. Min-jae pressed his palm to the scanner and it hissed open, revealing Jiho huddled inside with 2 guards. The boy's face transformed when he saw them. "Appa, is it over?" "Not yet, son. Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone but me." The attack lasted 20 minutes. 20 minutes that felt like hours. Crouched in that safe room, listening to gunfire and explosions. Jiho trembling against Amara's side while she held him and prayed to a god she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. When silence finally fell, it was deafening. Min-jae returned, grim-faced and covered in blood. Most of it not his own. "They're dead or retreating." But they made their point. "You're not safe here anymore. Neither of you." That night, Min-jae's lieutenants gathered in his office while Amara recovered in her room. She could hear them through the walls, their voices raised in argument. "Boss, this is insane! A homeless American in our business, she's a liability." "The Song family will use her against you." "Send her away! Give her money, a new identity, whatever. But she can't stay here." Amara pressed her ear to the wall, her heart pounding. They were right. She was a liability. She should want to leave, to disappear again. But the thought of abandoning Jiho, of never seeing his smile or hearing his childish laughter, it hurt in a way she wasn't prepared for. Min-jae's response cut through the arguments like a blade. "The woman stays." "Boss, she took 4 bullets meant for my son. She used her medical training to save 3 of my people during today's attack. She's earned her place here, and anyone who touches her answers to me. Is that understood?" Silence. Then grudgingly, "Understood, boss." But before they could disperse, a small voice interrupted. "You're all wrong." Jiho stood in the doorway, still in his pajamas, his face set with determination. "She didn't save me because she wants something from Appa. She didn't do it for money or power or protection. She did it because she cares. And that's something none of you understand." "Jiho, go back to bed," Min-jae said gently. "No." The boy's voice shook but held firm. "All of you do what Appa says, because you have to, or because you want his approval, or because you're scared of what happens if you don't. But she protected me when she thought we were just strangers. She didn't even know who we were. That's real loyalty. That's real bravery. And if you send her away, you're telling me that kind of goodness doesn't matter in our world." He turned to his father, tears streaming down his face. "I know what you do, Appa. I know people are scared of you. I know we live with guards and safe rooms and that Iyama left because she couldn't handle it, but she makes me feel safe in a way nothing else does. Please don't send her away, please." The silence that followed was absolute. Minjai stared at his son, something raw and painful crossing his face. Then he knelt, pulling Jiho into his arms. "I won't send her away," he promised. "I swear it." Amara slid down the wall, crying quietly into her hands. She'd come to Seoul to disappear, to be nothing, to let the world forget she existed. Instead, she'd found a broken child and his dangerous father who were giving her back her humanity one moment at a time. Please tell us what you think so far in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating these emotional stories. Recovery was slow and painful, marked by physical therapy sessions that left Amara sobbing into her pillow and nightmares that had her waking in cold sweats. Marcus's face melting into Jiho's, both of them dying while she watched helplessly. But Jiho visited every day, bringing his homework to do beside her bed, chattering about school and friends and the stray cat he'd seen in the garden. His presence was healing in ways medicine couldn't touch. Minjae came too, though his visits were different. Quieter, more contemplative. They talked about everything and nothing, philosophy, literature, the nature of power and responsibility. He told her about building his empire from his father's crumbling legacy, about the choices he'd made and the prices he'd paid. She told him about Marcus, about the dreams they'd shared, about the crushing weight of survivor's guilt. "Why me?" she asked one evening as they sat watching the sunset paint the Han River gold. "Why am I alive when he's not? When your patient is not? What made me special enough to survive?" "Nothing," Minjae said, and the honesty was almost cruel. "Nothing made you special. Survival is random. But what you do with that, survival, that's where choice comes in. You can waste it, or you can make it mean something." "Is that what you do? Make your survival mean something?" He was quiet for a long moment. "I protect what's mine. My son, my people, my empire. I do terrible things to ensure terrible things don't happen to them. That's the bargain I've made with the universe. Does it work? Until 3 nights ago, I thought it did. Then you showed me something I'd forgotten exists. Protection without transaction. Sacrifice without calculation. You make me question everything I've built my life on, Amara. That's terrifying." "Good," she said softly. "You should be terrified. Your world needs questioning." He turned to her then, and the intensity in his eyes stole her breath. "What would you have me do? Walk away? Abandon my responsibilities? Let the wolves circle my son? No, but maybe remember that not everything has to be bought or sold. Some things just are. Some things matter because they matter, not because they're useful." "Like you." "Like me," she agreed. "I'm not useful to you, Minjae. I'm a liability, a target, a complication you don't need. But I matter to Jiho, and apparently I matter to you, and that has to be enough." He reached across the space between them, his hand finding hers. His grip was warm, strong, and for a moment Amara let herself imagine a different world where this man wasn't a criminal and she wasn't a broken refugee from her own life. A world where they were just 2 people watching the sunset together. But that world didn't exist. This one did. Messy and dangerous and impossibly complicated. And somehow she was starting to think that might be okay. 3 weeks after the first attack, the Song family struck again. This time, they didn't come to the clinic, they came to the school. Amara was with Dr. Yoon when Minjae's phone rang. She saw his face drain of color, saw his hands shake as he listened, saw the raw terror that no amount of control could hide. "Jiho's school is under lockdown," he said, his voice hollow. "Gunmen. They're demanding I surrender myself, or they start killing children." "No," the word tore from Amara's throat. "No, you can't." "What choice do I have? They'll kill him. They'll kill all of them. Then we go together, all of us, your guards, your people. We end this now?" Minji stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You can barely walk. You're not healed. This isn't your fight. The hell it isn't! Amara struggled to her feet, ignoring her screaming muscles. That boy is as much mine as he is yours. I took 4 bullets for him. You think I'm going to sit here while someone threatens him again? You're insane. Yeah, probably, but I'm also the only person in this room who's died and come back once already. I'm not afraid of doing it again if it means Jiho lives. Something broke in Minjai's expression, the carefully maintained control shattering to reveal the terrified father underneath. I can't lose him. He's all I have. He's everything. Then let's make sure you don't. Amara grabbed his arm, her grip fierce despite her weakness. But we do this smart. No surrendering, no negotiating with terrorists. We go in there and we get our boy back. The assault on the school was surgical and brutal. Minjai's forces surrounded the building while Amara, against all medical advice and common sense, went in with the first wave. Her body protested every step, but adrenaline and sheer stubborn will kept her moving. They found Jiho in his classroom, huddled under a desk with 3 other children while a gunman paced nearby. The moment Amara saw him, alive, terrified but unharmed, something fierce and primal roared to life in her chest. This was her child, not by blood, maybe not even by choice, but by the bond forged in blood and bullets and desperate protection. Hers. The gunman never saw her coming. Years of EMT work had taught her anatomy, where to strike to incapacitate quickly. She hit him in the throat, then the knee, then grabbed his weapon as he fell. It was over in seconds. Jiho, she called softly. It's me, you're safe. The boy's head emerged from under the desk, his face streaked with tears. You came. Of course I came. Did you think I wouldn't? He flew into her arms, nearly knocking her over. She held him tight, ignoring the screaming pain in her shoulders, breathing in his little boy smell of sweat and fear and playground dirt. I knew you would, he whispered against her neck. I told them you would. My guardian angel. Minjai found them there, still clinging to each other, surrounded by his guards who had secured the building. His eyes met Amara's over his son's head, and in that moment something unspoken but profound passed between them. We're a family now, that look said. Broken and strange and held together by blood and bullets, but a family nonetheless. That night, after Jiho had finally fallen asleep in his own bed and the adrenaline had worn off, leaving only pain and exhaustion, Minjai found Amara on the terrace of his penthouse. She was staring out at Seoul's glittering skyline, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders against the autumn chill. You should be resting, he said, joining her at the railing. Couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts. Same. He was quiet for a moment then. The Song family leadership is dead. My people made sure of it. There will be retaliation from other factions. Alliances will shift, but for now we're safe. Jiho is safe. For now. For now, he agreed. That's all any of us ever have. Amara turned to face him fully. I can't stay here, Minjai. He froze. What? I can't stay in your world. I'm not built for this. The violence, the constant threat, living in fear. I survived today on adrenaline and desperation, but I can't do it every day. I can't be the person who shoots first and asks questions later. That's not who I am. Then who are you? His voice was raw, angry. Because from where I'm standing, you're the woman who saved my son twice, who charged into a hostage situation barely able to walk, who holds my family together by sheer force of will. That's who you are. No. Tears streamed down her face. That's who I had to become, but it's not who I want to be. I want to heal people, Minjai. I want to help them, not hurt them. I want a life where I'm not waiting for the next attack, the next crisis. I want to be invisible again, but in a good way. Anonymous. Normal. There is no normal for you anymore. The moment you jumped in front of those bullets, normal died. You're in this world whether you like it or not. Then get me out. She grabbed his jacket, her voice breaking. Please, you have resources, connections. Get me out. Give me a new identity, a new life somewhere far from here where I can start over, where I can be nobody again. You want me to send you away after everything? I want you to let me go. There's a difference. Minjai pulled back, his face a mask of controlled fury. And Jiho? You're just going to abandon him? That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. That boy loves you. He calls you his guardian angel. He draws pictures of you every day. He asks if you're staying for breakfast, for dinner, forever. And you want to just disappear? To abandon him like his mother did? His mother left because she couldn't handle your world. I'm leaving for the same reason. Can't you see that? What I see is a coward. The words were cruel, designed to hurt. I see someone running away the moment things get difficult. Difficult? Amara's voice rose. I've been shot 4 times. I've watched people die. I've had to become someone I don't recognize just to survive in your world. That's not difficult, Minjae. That's impossible. And I'm not strong enough. I'm sorry, but I'm just not. They stood there, breathing hard, the space between them charged with anger and hurt and something else, something that felt dangerously close to heartbreak. If you leave, Minjae said quietly, you can never come back. You understand that? The moment you walk away, you're dead to this world, to Jiho, to me, for your own protection and ours. I understand. Do you? Because I don't think you do. I don't think you understand what you've become to us. To him, to... He stopped, jaw clenched. To me. Amara's breath caught. Minja, no, don't say anything. You've made your choice clear. He turned to go, then paused. I'll arrange everything. New identity, new life. Somewhere safe. You'll disappear properly this time. Completely. And we'll all pretend that these weeks never happened, that you never saved my son, that you never made me believe in something beyond transactions and fear. Minjae, please! But he was gone, leaving Amara alone on the terrace with the weight of her choice crushing her chest. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Minjae's people worked with frightening efficiency, creating a complete identity for Sarah Mitchell, American expat, community health worker, clean history, legitimate credentials. They found her an apartment in Yosu, a small coastal city 6 hours south of Seoul, far from gang territory and violence. They arranged a job at a free clinic, got her a work visa, even furnished the apartment and stocked the refrigerator. Minjae himself was conspicuously absent. His lieutenants handled everything, their faces carefully neutral when they looked at her. She was being erased from this world systematically, professionally, completely. Jiho didn't understand. Why are you leaving? He asked for the 100th time, sitting on her bed while she packed the few belongings that would accompany Sarah Mitchell into her new life. Did I do something wrong? No, sweetheart, no. Amara sat beside him, pulling him close. You did everything right. You're perfect. But this world, your father's world, it's not mine. I don't belong here. You belong with me. I wish it were that simple. It is that simple. His voice cracked, tears flowing freely. You saved me twice. You're supposed to stay. That's how it works in stories. The hero saves the prince, and they live happily ever after. Real life isn't a story, Jiho. Sometimes the hero has to walk away so the prince can grow up safe and strong. I don't want to be safe. I want you. The words broke her heart. She held him while he cried, memorizing the weight of him in her arms, the sound of his breathing, the way his hair stuck up in the back no matter how many times it was combed. I'm going to give you something, she said finally, pulling back to look at him. My EMT card, see? It has my real name. Amara Thompson. That was who I used to be before I came to Seoul, before I met you. If you ever need to find me, if something terrible happens and you have nowhere else to go, you find Amara Thompson, promise me. I promise. He clutched the card like a lifeline. But you could just stay, then I wouldn't have to find you. I know, but I can't. I'm sorry. On the last night, Minjae finally came to see her. He stood in the doorway of her room, hands in his pockets, looking more uncertain than she'd ever seen him. The dangerous crime boss was gone, replaced by just a man facing loss. Everything's ready, he said. We leave at dawn. 6-hour drive to Yosu. I'll take you myself. You don't have to. I do. This is my gift to you, Amara. Your freedom. I'm going to make sure you get it properly this time. They stared at each other across the room, the air thick with things unsaid. I'm sorry, Amara whispered. I'm sorry I'm not strong enough to stay. I'm sorry I'm breaking Jiho's heart. I'm sorry I'm... Don't! Minjae crossed the room in 3 strides, his hand cupping her face with surprising gentleness. Don't apologize for saving yourself. I've spent my whole life in this world, building walls and weapons and an empire of fear. You spent 3 weeks here, and it nearly destroyed you. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. You're human, too. Am I? His laugh was bitter. Sometimes I wonder. I've killed people, Amara. Ordered deaths. Watched men beg for mercy and shown them none. I've built my life on violence and control. You're right to leave. You're right to want something better. But Jiho will survive. Children are resilient. He'll be angry for a while, sad for longer, but he'll survive. And maybe... Minjae's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Maybe it's better this way. Better he loses you now than watches this world corrupt you until you become something you hate. Amara's tears came hot and fast. I don't want to leave him. I don't want to leave you. But I can't breathe here. Every morning I wake up wondering if today's the day someone tries to kill us again. I can't live like that. I can't. I know. He pulled her close, and she let herself sink into his embrace, breathing in his expensive cologne mixed with something uniquely him, power and danger, and underneath it all, a loneliness that matched her own. In another life, maybe we could have been different people. Maybe I could have been the kind of man who takes you to dinner instead of hiding you in safe rooms. Maybe you could have been the kind of woman who stays. In another life, she agreed, her voice muffled against his chest. But not this one. They stood like that for a long time, holding each other like drowning people clutching debris in a storm. When they finally pulled apart, both had tears on their faces. Dawn, Minjae said hoarsely, I'll drive you to your new life, and then we never see each other again. That's the price of your freedom, Amara. Complete separation, no contact, no looking back. You become Sarah Mitchell, and Amara Thompson ceases to exist, for your protection and ours. I understand. Do you? He wiped his eyes roughly. Because once you drive away tomorrow, that's it. You can't change your mind. You can't come back. Even if you wanted to, even if you regretted it, it would be too dangerous. My enemies would use you. Your presence would endanger Jiho. So you need to be absolutely certain. Amara thought of Marcus, of the dreams they'd shared that died with him. She thought of the past 2 years, drifting through her grief like a ghost, trying to fade into nothing. She thought of Jiho's drawings and his laughter and the way he called her his guardian angel. She thought of Minjae's rare smiles and their late-night conversations and the way he looked at her like she was something precious and terrifying all at once. Then she thought of the gunfire, the blood, the constant fear. She thought of the person she'd had to become just to survive, harder, colder, capable of violence she'd never imagined. She thought of her hands, trained, to heal, wrapped around a gun. I'm certain, she said, and hoped it was true. The drive to Yeosu started in darkness and silence. Minjae drove a simple black sedan, no guards, no convoy, just the two of them and the empty highway stretching south. Dawn broke slowly, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, revealing a Korea Amara had never seen. Rolling hills covered in autumn colors, small villages clustered around rice paddies, the gradual transition from urban sprawl to rural beauty. Tell me about Yeosu, she said finally, breaking the heavy quiet. Minjae's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Coastal city, population about 300,000, known for seafood and beaches. Your apartment overlooks the harbor. The clinic is a 10-minute walk. You'll be treating mostly elderly patients and fishing families. Simple work, honest work. Sounds perfect. It should be. I made sure of it. He glanced at her, his expression unreadable. Sarah Mitchell has a complete history. 2 years working in rural hospitals in America, decided she wanted international experience, chose Korea for its healthcare system. Everything checks out. You even have references from doctors who think they remember you. You're very thorough. I have to be. One mistake and the Song family remnants or any of a dozen other organizations could find you. This isn't just about giving you a new life, Amara. It's about ensuring you survive to live it. They stopped for breakfast at a roadside restaurant, sitting across from each other in a corner booth, while elderly women served them soup and rice and banchan. Amara ate mechanically, tasting nothing, hyper-aware of every moment passing like sand through an hourglass. "What will you tell Jiho?" she asked. "The truth, that you left to be safe, that sometimes the people we love have to go away, but that doesn't mean they didn't care about us." Minjae pushed rice around his bowl without eating. "He'll understand eventually. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but someday." "Will you tell him I loved him?" "He knows that already. You showed him every day." Amara's vision blurred. "I've never had a child. Never even wanted one, really. But these past weeks with Jiho, I finally understood what people mean when they say they die for their kids. I would have. I still would." "I know. That's why this is so hard." Minjae reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "You gave me something I didn't know I was missing. Someone who protected my son, not because I paid them or because they feared me, but just because they cared. That's rare. That's precious. And I'm letting you go because keeping you would destroy that precious thing. You're a better man than you think." "No, I'm just a man who's finally learning what matters." They finished the drive in silence, punctuated by occasional small talk, weather, scenery, meaningless observations that filled the space where harder truths lived. As the hours passed and Yosu grew closer, Amara felt her old life slipping away like skin being shed. Amara Thompson, broken paramedic, homeless refugee, accidental guardian angel. She was dissolving, making room for Sarah Mitchell to emerge. The apartment was in a modest building 3 blocks from the harbor, 3rd floor, with a balcony that looked out over blue water stretching to the horizon. Minjae had been thorough. There were dishes in the cabinets, food in the refrigerator, clothes in her size hanging in the closet. Everything Sarah Mitchell would need to build a normal life. "The clinic director is expecting you Monday," Minjae said, setting down her single suitcase. "Dr. Park, she's good people. No connections to any organizations, completely clean. She thinks you're an idealistic American who wants to help underserved populations. Play that role and you'll fit right in." "Okay." Amara wandered through the small space, touching furniture that would become familiar, standing at the window, watching boats bob in the harbor. "It's beautiful. Thank you." "Don't thank me. This is what you wanted." "It is." But her voice cracked on the words. Minjae came to stand beside her, both of them looking out at the water and the sky and the vast emptiness of a future stretching before them. "In another life," he said quietly, "I would have asked you to stay. Not for Jiho, not for protection or debt or any practical reason. Just because these past weeks, talking to you, learning how you see the world, it made me remember what it feels like to be human, to want something beyond power and control." Amara turned to him, her hand finding his. "In another life, I would have said yes, because you're brilliant and complicated, and you make me want to be braver than I am. Because watching you with Jiho, seeing how much you love him despite all the walls you've built, it reminded me that broken people can still love fiercely. But not in this life. Not in this life," she agreed. They stood like that, hands clasped, saying goodbye without words. Then Minjae did something that surprised them both. He pulled her close and kissed her, desperate and tender and full of all the things they'd never say aloud. Amara kissed him back, pouring into it all her gratitude and regret and the impossible affection that had grown in soil watered with blood and bullets. When they pulled apart, both were crying. "Be happy," Minjae said roughly. "That's all I ask. Be Sarah Mitchell and be happy and heal people and never look back." "Take care of Jiho. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him his guardian angel is watching from far away always." "I will." Minjae walked to the door, paused with his hand on the knob. "Goodbye, Amara Thompson. You saved my son's life twice and mine once. I'll never forget you." "Goodbye, Kang Minjae. You gave me back my humanity. I'll never forget you either." He left without looking back, and Amara stood at the window watching his car disappear down the street, taking with it the last piece of her old life. When she couldn't see him anymore, she sank to the floor and cried. For Marcus and the dreams they'd lost, for Jiho and the boy she'd never watch grow up, for Minjae and the impossible connection they'd found in the worst circumstances, for Amara Thompson who had jumped in front of bullets and would never exist again. When the tears finally stopped, Sarah Mitchell stood up, washed her face, and went to explore her new life. 6 months passed. Sarah Mitchell settled into Yosu like a stone, finding its place in a riverbed. The clinic was busy but manageable. Elderly patients with diabetes and high blood pressure, fishing injuries that needed stitching, children with colds and scraped knees, simple medicine, honest work. Exactly what she'd wanted. She made friends slowly. Dr. Park, who ran the clinic with fierce compassion, Mrs. Kim from the apartment next door, who brought her homemade kimchi, Young Soo the fisherman who always had the freshest catch and taught her Korean fishing terms she'd never need anywhere else. They knew her as the kind American nurse who worked too hard and smiled too little, who sometimes stared at the ocean like she was looking for something lost beneath the waves. She learned to sleep without nightmares. She learned to walk to the market without checking for threats. She learned to exist without fear pressing down on her chest like a boulder. But she never learned to forget. Jiho's drawing hung on her refrigerator, the stick figure woman throwing herself in front of bullets, the careful English letters spelling my hero. Her expired EMT card sat in a drawer beside her bed, Amara Thompson's face staring up from the laminated plastic. Some nights, when the loneliness felt like drowning, she'd take it out and remember who she'd been before Seoul, during Seoul, and who she was trying to become after. The news filtered down occasionally. Power shifts in Seoul's underworld, territories changing hands, the Kang family consolidating power under new ethical guidelines that shocked the criminal world. No targeting of children, no civilian casualties, rules that would have been unthinkable before a homeless American woman threw herself in front of 4 bullets. Sarah allowed herself to hope that meant Jiho was safer, that Min-jae had learned something from their brief intersection, that their time together had mattered beyond the immediate crisis. One evening in early spring, Sarah was closing the clinic when a black car pulled up outside, expensive, out of place in their working-class neighborhood. Her heart stopped. 6 months of peace, and still her first instinct was fear. But it wasn't an attack. It was a delivery. The driver handed her a package wrapped in plain brown paper, bowed politely, and drove away without a word. Sarah carried it upstairs with shaking hands, setting it on her kitchen table like it might explode. Inside was a painting, a seascape done in oils, the ocean at sunset, gold and blue and infinite, and tucked into the frame, a drawing in a child's hand showing a woman with dark skin standing on a beach, arms outstretched, free and whole. Across the bottom, in neater handwriting than before, my guardian angel found her wings. Jiho. No note from Min-jae, no address, no way to respond. Just this one perfect message saying, we remember you. We're okay. We hope you're okay too. Sarah hung the painting above her couch where she could see it every day. She put Jiho's new drawing on the refrigerator beside the old one. And that night, for the first time in 6 months, she slept without dreaming of gunfire and blood and the boy she'd saved. In Seoul, Kang Min-jae stood in his penthouse looking out at the glittering city, his son asleep in the next room, the weight of his empire resting on his shoulders like always. But something had shifted, a crack in the armor he'd worn for so many years, letting in light he'd forgotten existed. His lieutenants had questioned the new rules at first, no children, no civilians, clean operations only, but they'd adapted, and surprisingly, the organization had grown stronger. Turned out running a criminal empire with some ethics made for better business, fewer enemies, more respect, territory gained through strategy instead of brutality. Jiho was healing too. He still asked about Amara sometimes, his questions growing less frequent but never disappearing entirely. Min-jae answered honestly. She was safe. She was healing people. She was happy. He didn't know if it was true, but he hoped. God, how he hoped. Appa? Jiho appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. I had a dream about her. Come here, son. Min-jae sat on the couch, pulling Jiho onto his lap like he hadn't done in months. The boy was getting bigger, growing up too fast. Tell me about your dream. She was at the beach. She looked happy, free, like a bird. Jiho nestled against his father's chest. Do you think she's really happy? Do you think she remembers us? I think she's exactly where she needs to be. And yes, I think she remembers us. How could she forget? I miss her. I know. I miss her too. But you did the right thing, letting her go. That's what love is, right? Wanting someone to be happy even if it means you can't be with them? Minjai's throat tightened. When had his son become so wise? Yes, that's exactly what love is. Then I love her very much. And I love you too, Appa, for being brave enough to let her go. I love you too, son, more than anything in this world. They sat like that in the darkness, father and son, holding each other while the city glittered below, and somewhere 6 hours south, a woman who had saved them both lived a life of quiet freedom. The debt that had bound them was paid in full, not with money or obligation, but with sacrifice and love and the courage to let go. Years passed. Sarah Mitchell became Dr. Sarah Mitchell, finally finishing the degree she'd abandoned after Marcus died, specializing in emergency medicine and trauma. She stayed in Yeosu, running the clinic, training younger doctors, building a life that mattered in quiet, steady ways. She dated occasionally, a teacher, a marine biologist, even a visiting American consultant once, but nothing serious ever developed. Some part of her heart remained in Seoul, locked away with memories of a boy's laughter and a dangerous man's rare smiles. She followed the news obsessively, scanning for mentions of the Kang family. The reports were always vague: consolidation of power, legitimate business ventures, philanthropic endeavors. The criminal underworld still existed, she knew, but it operated differently now. Cleaner, more controlled. Min-jae's empire had evolved into something that could almost pass for legitimate. And Jiho, she caught glimpses of him sometimes in business magazines as he got older. The heir to the Kang Empire, brilliant and serious, with his father's sharp features and something of her compassion in his eyes. Or so she liked to think. He was in university now, studying international business and ethics, of all things. She wondered if he remembered her, if she was more than a half-forgotten childhood memory. On the 5th anniversary of the night she'd taken 4 bullets, Sarah stood on her balcony watching the sunset paint the ocean gold. She'd built a good life here, saved hundreds of patients, made real friends, found peace mostly. But some nights, like tonight, the loneliness felt vast as that ocean stretching before her. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer. After 5 years, she'd stopped expecting contact from that other life. But something made her pick up. Dr. Mitchell. The voice was young, male, speaking careful English. My name is Kang Jiho. I don't know if you remember me. Sarah's legs gave out. She sank into a chair, her voice barely working. Jiho? How did you... I kept your EMT card. The one with your real name. It took me years to track you down, and even then, I only called because... His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to contact you. Appa made me promise, but I'm 18 now, and I needed to tell you something. Tell me. Whatever it is, tell me. I'm getting ready to join Appa's business. Not the old business. We've transformed everything, made it mostly legitimate. But it's still complicated, still dangerous sometimes. And before I do that, before I step into that world permanently, I needed you to know that you changed everything for us. For me, for Appa, for everyone. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. Jiho, you don't have to. Yes, I do. You saved my life twice. You showed me what real courage looks like. You taught Appa that power and humanity don't have to be opposites. Every policy change, every rule about protecting civilians, every time we choose mercy over brutality. That's your legacy. You're the reason I believe our family can be something better. How is he, your father? Jiho was quiet for a moment. He's good. Lonely sometimes, but good. He never remarried. He says he met someone once who showed him what real love looked like, and everything else feels counterfeit after that. Sarah closed her eyes, overwhelmed. Tell him I understand. Tell him I feel the same way. He knows. We both know. Jiho's voice softened. I'm not supposed to ask this, but are you happy? Did leaving give you the life you wanted? Sarah looked around her apartment. The paintings on the walls, the medical textbooks stacked on her coffee table, The photos of patients and friends, the balcony overlooking the endless ocean. She thought of the lives she'd saved, the difference she'd made, the peace she'd found in this quiet corner of the world. Yes, she said honestly. It wasn't easy, and there are things I miss every single day. But I'm happy. I'm helping people. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Good. That's all we wanted. All Appa wanted when he let you go. Jiho, thank you for calling. Thank you for remembering me. How could I forget my guardian angel? She could hear the smile in his voice. I have to go now. This call is already too dangerous for you, too traceable. But I wanted you to know, you're still part of our family. Always. Distance doesn't change that. I love you, Jiho. I love you both. Be safe. We will. Because of you, we know how. The line went dead. Sarah sat on her balcony as night fell, stars emerging one by one, her heart full and breaking and whole all at once. She'd made the right choice 5 years ago. She knew that now with complete certainty. Leaving had saved her, had allowed her to become someone who healed instead of hurt, who lived without fear, who made a difference in quiet, steady ways. But love, real love, the kind that transcended logic and circumstance, didn't care about right choices or safe distances. It existed anyway, permanently, woven into the fabric of who she'd become. She was Sarah Mitchell, and she was happy. She was Amara Thompson, and she would never forget. She was a guardian angel who'd found her wings, and somewhere 6 hours north, the boy she'd saved and the man she'd loved were flying too, transformed by the same impossible grace that had changed her. The debt that had bound them was long since paid, but love, real, selfless, sacrificial love, that had no expiration date, that lived forever in the choices they'd made, the people they'd become, the lives they'd touched. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Welcome to Afro-Korean Story Hub. Thank you so much for watching this journey with us. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more emotional stories, and tell us in the comments, have you ever had to let someone go because you love them? What would you have done in Amara's place? Your engagement helps us continue creating these stories. Thank you for being part of our community.